This video serves as an introduction to demand-side increasing returns. This concept is also commonly referred to as network externalities. Imagine 10 hungry penguins standing on the edge of an iceberg. They are eager to go fishing. However, they know there may be a sea lion waiting in the water to eat a penguin. If one penguin jumps in, the probability is very high that he is eaten. However, if all 10 of them jump in at once, the probability is low for any one penguin that he is eaten. This is an example of demand-side increasing returns. When there are demand-side increasing returns, the benefits of using a particular good or service increase as more individuals use it. Suppose you live in the early 1900s and are excited about the invention of the telephone. So the first chance you get, you run out and buy one. Pretty exciting, but one big problem. How can you call someone else to tell them that you are the first to buy a telephone when no one else has a telephone? For some goods and services, there are benefits to being the first, or one of the few that have it. This might be true when you go to the movie or to the gym. It is nice when you can enjoy these services without it being overcrowded. However, when it comes to things like the telephone, the more people with a telephone, the better it is for everyone else with a telephone. That is, for the telephone, there are demand-side increasing returns. The product's benefits to each user increase along with the number of other users. Demand-side increasing returns are an important feature of many high-tech markets. They present both challenges and benefits for producers. Consider the days when movies that were watched at home were played on videocassette recorders or VCRs. In the mid-1970s, there were two VCR format options, VHS and Betamax. If you had a VCR, it would play only one of the two formats. There are pros and cons to the two formats, but let's assume that they were pretty much identical in quality. When buying a VCR, which format would you want to get? The answer is the one that has the most movies available. If you are a company producing videocassettes, which of the formats do you want to produce in? The answer is the one that has the most VCRs. Once VHS got the edge in market share, the entire market in the US tipped towards VHS, so that Betamax was pretty much driven to extinction in the US. Because of demand-side increasing returns, in a market like this, there is only going to be one winner. Rather than competing for market share, the companies are competing for the entire market. For this reason, understanding and leveraging demand-side increasing returns can be very important for the strategist. One of the reasons that VHS was able to take the market is that it had open standards which allowed many companies to produce VCRs in the VHS format. On the other hand, Sony restricted the number of companies that could produce VCRs for Betamax. This is one of the strategies that a company can pursue to take advantage of demand-side increasing returns. Microsoft is another example of a company that has benefited from leveraging demand-side increasing returns. This was especially relevant in the 1990s. Consumers wanted to have computers with Microsoft operating systems on it because of the large number of different types of software manufactured to run on just the Microsoft operating system. Software manufacturers wrote software for the Microsoft operating system because so many consumers ran the operating system. There were also network externalities for Microsoft Office products. It was technological change in different niches that made it possible for Google and Apple to compete with Microsoft in some dimensions in recent decades. eBay is another example of demand-side increasing returns. Most of eBay's competition comes from substitute services from companies like Amazon, not from other online auction sites. Even if eBay was offering shoddy service, it may be difficult for another online auction company to get into the market and compete. It is relatively easy for a buyer to open an account with another online auction site, but what would be the point if there are no products for sale on the competitor's site? It would also be relatively easy for a seller to list something for sale on a competitor's site, but this would not benefit the seller if there are few buyers going to the alternative site. The demand-side increasing returns create high switching costs. Even though it is easy for one buyer or seller to make the switch, there are no real benefits unless the switch is coordinated with many other buyers and sellers. Coordinating the switch among many buyers and sellers to an alternative auction site is very expensive. For this reason, buyers and sellers on eBay are like penguins. One is not going to jump to another competitor unless all make the leap at the same time. In markets with demand-side increasing returns, there is a natural tendency for one company to take the market. Once the market is dominated by one producer, switching costs for the consumers are high due to the need to coordinate the switch with other market participants.